Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name is Anashi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If I sound a little bit weird in this one, it's because I'm using a different microphone than last time. So, in the last episode, I believe we read Cat Lure, Potion of Summon Bird, The Person Sharpener, Hungarian Floater, and Time Lock Town. The reason I believe that is because I set my computer to not erase what links I've opened on this website, and it decided it doesn't care, so But I do remember reading Time Lock Town. So this time we're doing Examination Room 10, Sudden Body Integrity Failure, Site 41, Solve for Bear, and Memetic Universe. So we're not quite at what used to be Lucy the Kitten yet, but we'll get there, Alright, so what's in that examination room? It's Euclid. The building containing SCP-1310 has been designated Site Blank. It is to have the appearance of being condemned and awaiting demolition. The door leading to SCP-1310 is to be opened for at least 20 out of 24 hours per day in order to minimize possibility of generation events. All specimens emerging from 1310 are to be detained for questioning. Following the questioning session, all specimens of A, B, and C are to be treated with Protocol England 1310-84. Alright, description. SCP-1310 is the designation for Examination Room 10 at the former Redacted Pediatrics Center, located on the campus of the Redacted Medical Center somewhere in Ohio. It has the dimensions of 5 by 3 by 5 meters. The room is designed for simple medical examinations of individuals under 18 years of age, and is decorated with an animal-themed mural on the western wall. It has all the typical apparatuses of a mundane medical examination room, such as a case for syringe disposal, a sink, a supply of gauze, and tongue depressors, and an examination table. It enters an active state when the door to the room is closed for, on average, a span of 5 minutes and 43 seconds. After that time has passed, at least one human being will emerge from 1310, having been generated within the room's confines. The process by which the generation is done is not understood, and attempts to record the inside of the room during the examination, the generation process have resulted in failure of all electronic equipment. Because doctor-patient confidentiality, probably. The generated humans will fall under 3 specific categories, one under the age of 18, hereafter designated A, and one which the first specimen will usually treat as its parent or guardian, B. In some cases, a third specimen, C, will be generated, identifying itself as a doctor or nurse employed at Redacted Pediatrics. These subjects will have memories that correspond to actual people and locations in the town of Redacted and surrounding areas. However, these memories are fabricated. No records of any instances of A and B have been found as of the date of writing, at some point in 2000-something. Despite items such as social security cards and driver's licenses being found on several of the specimens. Addendum 1. Following the acquisition of 1310, instances of A, B, and C ceased appearing for a 4-month period. Believing there to be a link between the status of the Redacted Pediatrics facility and the appearance of A and B, Dr. Blank, the researcher overseeing containment of 1310, ordered the clinic to be reopened and operated as normal for a period of 3 months. During that time, blank new instances of A appeared, with the same number of 1310B. Blank instances of C were generated as well. See Document 2 for details. Looks like we have Document 2. I knew I was onto something! If we let patients into the clinic, 1310 outputs new instances of A and B. I have formulated a theory that 1310 exists simultaneously in at least 2, if not more, universes. When the door to 1310 is closed in both the opposing universes, and in this one, then 1310 reroutes the people within the room to this universe. The only discernible difference between our universe and theirs is that instances of A and B do not exist in our universe. Request testing to see if the inter-universal travel is possible using 1310. If so, then perhaps we could get into contact with the other universe's foundation. That doesn't sound like a good idea at all. And yet, Doctor's request has been approved. Testing is scheduled to begin. Nope. Edit July 5th, 2000-something. It has been almost a year since the Doctor has requested testing with 1310, but has not been able to test as D-Class have not been requisitioned to him for testing. This issue is to be remedied ASAP. Final edit, the 12th. Doctor has canceled testing, citing a lack of test subjects. Incident 31. On May 20, 2000-something, 1310 was opened for cleaning, and a single specimen of B was found inside with no accompanying A or C. B31 identified himself as Charles Friedman and stated he had been an employee of the Foundation for the past 5 years. 31 was taken into custody and interviewed. The following is a transcript of this interview. You said you worked for the Foundation. Why should we... I didn't just work for the Foundation. I was your research assistant. You went on for hours about your bullcrap theories about it. How fortuitous. And if you were my research assistant in this other universe, what, pray tell, were you doing inside of 1310? You asked, no, you told me to go in there, and then the door shut, and when I came out, nobody remembered who I was. Because you do not exist in this universe. Now you claim to have a girlfriend named, oh my god. SCP-1310-B-31 sighs loudly. Get your head out of your ass, blank. Excuse me? Ever heard of Occam's razor? What's a simpler explanation? The room porting people over from other universes at complete random? Or people from this universe going into 1310 and entirely erasing people from this timeline? Don't be absurd. All the evidence suggests... Chew on this for a second then. You remember all the times you were going to test it on humans? See if they could go into other universes? How the test never happened? What if they did happen, and nobody remembers it because that's how 1310 works? I think we're done here. No, we aren't. And one last thing, I know about all the specimens emerging from 1310 that you never reported. There must have been, what, 12 of them? Maybe more? All in D-class uniforms? Guard, escort him out. Sounds of struggling. Listen to me! You hid data! 31 directly addresses the microphone. I have proof! Listen to me! At this point, they were sedated and exited out of the room. While I admit that he did have some valid information on the Foundation, there is no evidence to suggest that I hid evidence in the other universe, perhaps, but in baseline, there's no reason for me to hide evidence. What would I gain from it? Hopefully, we can get Protocol England 84 over with and make sure he never tries to bother us again. Dr. Blank. In a follow-up interview conducted by Foundation Security at Site Blank, 31 directed staff to Dr. Blank's office, where a file containing photographs of unknown B subjects was located, along with several notes regarding the alleged missing data. All B subjects were wearing D-class uniforms. Due to the gross incompetence displayed by the doctor regarding 1310, his employment has been terminated as of April the 20th, 2000-something. Containment procedures will be updated by the Anti-Memetics Division in accordance with the findings presented by 31. 05 Blank. So, it sounds like either when people go into the place, they come out of the SCP and nobody remembers who they are. Because the guy's like, oh, well, there's no record of these people existing. Maybe it's another universe. And then his research assistant rolled up and was like, alright, look. It's not another universe. The SCP does not bounce people between universes. It erases existence of everyone that goes in. And then he had a whole bunch of files about it and didn't even know he had the files because he did all the information and it erased, I guess it erases memories, but not actual written proof. So if they had any pictures of his research assistant before any of that went down, then they just like, hey, he's right. But instead, they found out he was right in the other direction, and now this particular O5 person is like, hey, so that person who claims to be his research assistant was right that he was hiding information, which means he's a bad doctor and he's fired. I don't know, that one was weird. Sudden body integrity failure. Also Euclid. Special containment procedures. All station personnel currently assigned to 1311 are to monitor all local homicide police reports for evidence of 1311 outbreaks. Instances of the pattern being positively identified should be reported immediately. Any witnesses of positively identified 1311 outbreaks are to be given Class C amnestics and have their accounts to local authorities modified as necessary. In extreme cases, Class A amnestics and relocation are permissible. On a side note, I found out why I'm always like struggling to breathe at the end of these, and it looks like when I'm reading out loud, I am not breathing. Which means I've just been doing like half-hour to 45-minute stretches of talking with like one breath every couple of minutes, which is bad and stupid. But now I know, and I'm trying to work on it. That's why there's so much sniffling. Update as of June 7th, 2000-something teen. For the purposes of observation and further study, all Foundation personnel currently assigned to 1311 are tasked with the recovery of an individual suffering the condition that has not yet self-amputated. In instances where recovery is not viable, video or photographic evidence is also acceptable. Dr. Blank. Description. SCP-1311 initially manifests as a case of sudden, severe body integrity disorder. The belief that part of an individual's body is not actually theirs, in people with no previously recorded history of such a condition. In most instances, 1311 affects the perception of one's hands or feet, though in some cases, fingers, ears, eyes, teeth, or even organs have been subject to this condition. 1311 was previously regarded as mere coincidence, but the repeated instances of the more anomalous aspects of it led Foundation operatives to require additional research, which in turn caused its final classification. As with most cases of acute body integrity disorder, the majority of subjects infected with 1311 have attempted to self-amputate or remove the affected part of the body themselves, resulting in their death. Why? Oh, I guess blood loss. In the cases where a minor part of the body is targeted and successfully amputated, all sufferers have expressed a profound feeling of relief at its removal. No survivors. I keep trying to say other words that are the same word, but not really. I was trying to say other survivals of major removals have currently been recovered. Further research was first suggested when Dr. Blank noted that in all cases where an infected individual was successful in removing the afflicted part of their body, that part of the body was never located. Survivors of the condition universally claim to have not noticed or to have forgotten what happened to the body part after removal, though they continue to express happiness that it is gone. Did they eat it? No removals have yet been observed or recorded by Foundation personnel. Most often, outbreaks of 1311 are discovered after the fact by tracking murder cases involving limb amputation or dismemberment, usually classified as such due to the missing body parts. To date, at least 43 outbreaks have been recorded around the world, with the only outbreak in blank happening at the same location more than once. Outbreaks of 1311 always happen in groups of 4 individuals. There's no identified source for 1311 outbreaks, though those suffering from the condition always have some link between them. While most individuals possess a solid connection, such as working in the same office or having the same doctors, other outbreaks have possessed links as tenuous as eating the same meal for lunch at different locations, being treated for nail biting, having been a member of the same online community. Redacted, said community is now being monitored due to its connection to 1311 and correlating to a significant increase in the site's popularity. Being allergic to apples, being the child of a pancreatic cancer survivor, having sex with the same woman. The woman showed no signs of the condition herself, though she is currently in custody for observation and further testing. Simultaneously reading the same book, blank blank, and the blank blank blank. Probably Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. The extremely questionable relations between the groups were initially noted as reaching too far by officials, but these are the only currently documented links. The full list of currently missing body parts currently includes 16 arms, hands intact, 12 legs, feet intact, 36 hands, 72 teeth, including canines, incisors, and molars in various quantities, 4 sets of genitals, both genders. Why is there a thing for that? Interestingly, these sets came from 2 separate instances, the first being 3 males and 1 female, and the other 1 female and 3 female. 1 male and 3 females. 12 kidneys, 4 lungs, 8 spleens, 3 livers, and a partridge in a pear tree. The final victim is still unlocated, however, efforts are ongoing as of at some point in 2013, or 1913. Currently, researchers theorize the victim is most likely French-speaking Quebecois, with links to Quebec independence groups, though this is unconfirmed. Addendum 1. After the recovery of SCP-1993 at some point, research was conducted in an effort to discover a link between 1311 and 1993. Currently, all 1311 survivors have shown no sign of 1993 compulsion. Research is ongoing. Alrighty then. Next up is Site 41, the whole place. It's safe though, so that's good. Hopefully. But it wouldn't be an SCP if there wasn't something happening. Also, I see that, okay, it might be a lie, Alright, SCP-1312 is to be contained behind a perimeter of electrical fencing 2 meters in height. All potential exits are to be kept under guard at all times. Any entities... I swear I know how to read, man. I definitely know how to read. I just have always kind of sucked at doing it out loud. Entities attempting to leave 1312 are to be subdued and taken into containment immediately. No objects or individuals are to enter 1312 without specific authorization. Any testing of 1312 must be approved by at least 3 members of Level 3 personnel. Description: SCP-1312 is a designation given to the unfinished Site-41, which experienced an incident 7 months into construction in which the entire site relocated 3 kilometers north. All staff present within 1312 at the time are presumed killed or in such a state that they are to be considered lost. SCP-1312 is home to a large number of humanoid entities, all of which resemble featureless human beings of solid coloration. Alright, so what's the thing say? Information regarding these humanoid entities was gleaned through a rover which was placed in 1. The rover recorded the capturing process and subsequent behavior of the entities. The entities show limited intelligence and are docile until they become aware of the presence of an object or organism foreign to 1312. At this point, they will take the object or organism and contain it in utilizing the facilities already present in 1312. In cases where the foreign presence is an organism, they will subdue it first by rendering it unable to move or unconscious. These humanoid entities are divided into 3 separate types. 1. Humanoid entities of a solid white color. 1 will engage in acts which are assumed to be attempted experimentation with objects or individuals which have been captured. They will typically not approach captured objects themselves, instead directing 3 instances via a series of clicking and groaning noises. 1 also appear to write documentation regarding objects or individuals they have captured. See Recovered Documents 1. 2. Humanoid entities of a solid black color. 2 appear to be in charge of the capture and subduing of foreign objects and individuals. They are capable of speech, but this appears to be limited to the shouting of "Containment breach" when they sight a foreign presence in 1312. 3. Humanoid entities of a solid orange color. 3 are directed by 1 an experimentation involving objects foreign to 1312. They will usually follow 1 instances throughout 1312 in large crowds. 3 appear incapable of independent thought and will not act unless prompted by 1. So it sounds like what this is all the people who were in the building when it moved got turned into mannequins of the color of the clothes they were wearing. The white ones are probably the scientists, the black ones are probably the security guards, and obviously the orange one are the disposable dudes. Alright, so on Blanky Blank 2000 something, a small expedition was attempted into 1312, the humanoid entities having been distracted by the placement of several objects in 1312 shortly before. During the brief expedition, several documents which 1 entities had been observed to write previously were discovered in offices and empty containment chambers. Unfortunately, 1 member of the expedition was captured by 1312 humanoid entities during the attempted exit. See Recovered Document 3. Alright, so this is Recovered Document 1. Item SCP. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. It goes in the box. It stays in the box. It is kept in the box by security. Do not let it out of the box. Only doctors can use it. Description: a stick of orange with blackness inside. The blackness makes itself on paper. There is an experiment written on paper. When a D-Class eats it, it makes him die. It is contained in his neck. He is cut open with sharp things and it is taken out again. It has 2 marks on it now. Experiment Log 1. First experiment, it is put in water. Result, wet. Second experiment, it is put in the cold room. Result, cold. It is put in the warm room. Warm. It is asked questions. Silent. It is cut apart with sharp things. Broken. Now it is only blackness without the orange. Recover Document 2. Safe. Procedures. It is kept in a room. The room is locked. Do not unlock the room. Only doctors can unlock the room. To security, keep it contained. Do not drink it. Description: a white cylinder. It has liquid in it. The liquid was once warm, but is now cold. This is because it is in a cold room. This is what an SCP deserves. Remember our motto: secure the contain and protect. When D-Class drink it, they say it is good. They do not say this anymore, because it is cold. Dr. Blank says he remembers drinking it. Do not listen to him. He is a liar! A liar! He's lying! He's a liar! A liar! A liar! A liar! A liar! This continues for several pages. The name had been scratched out of the paper by what is presumed to be a fingernail or other sharp implement. Experiment Log 1. It is put in water. Wet. It is put in the cold room. Cold. It is put in the warm room. Warm. It is asked questions. Silent. It is cut apart with sharp things. Doesn't work. Okay, so it sounds like the second thing is a cup of coffee. But what would the first thing be if it was wrapped in, if it's an orange box with black inside? And when the person ate it, he died because it got caught in his neck and they had to cut it out and it has chew marks now. So if it's a stick of orange with black inside that can be chewed but not eaten, and cutting it apart gets rid of the orange, what could that have been? I was inclined to say battery, but I don't know if any brands of battery that are orange on the outside and black on the inside. It couldn't be a traffic cone, because how would someone have eaten a traffic cone? I don't know. Maybe at the end it'll say what it was. It probably won't. Okay, recovered document 3. Object class Keter, but now neutralized. Containment procedures. Do not listen to it. It does nothing but lie. Keep it in the room. Feed it D-class. Do not listen to what it tells you. If it tries to get out, hit it. After you hit it, put it back in the room. Any personnel who says it is not a liar are lying. Do not trust them. It is like a man, but pink and with tough material on it. It can talk, but all it does is lie. It insults personnel who go near it. Sometimes it screams. It says it is an agent of the SCP Foundation. This is a lie, and it is a liar. It had a metal item with it. It kills a D-class when it is pointed at them and the trigger is pulled. There is a thing in the D-class head after that. When it isn't pointed at the head, they take longer to die. It had another metal item. Voices came from the item and asked if Agent Banks is there. We asked if it is an SCP and the voices stopped talking. It has been designated as SCP because of this. Now it is contained. First experiment. It is put in water. Splash. It is put in the cold room. Shivers. It is put in the warm room. Warm. It is asked questions. Lies. It is cut apart with sharp things. Wet. So yeah, it sounds like the whole thing of this SCP is something decided to take the SCP building when they weren't done building it yet, and then continue to try to be an SCP facility. It's almost hilarious. Let's see, we've done 3 so far, now it's time to solve for Bear. Why is solve for Bear, Keter? What does threat level orange mean? What is this on the... Okay, that's the orange dot. What does threat level orange mean? Okay. Okay, sure. Alright, fine. SCP-1313 is not currently contained. Okay, I guess that's why it's Keter. But what is threat level orange? As a way of limiting the impact of the anomaly, Foundation staff are to monitor all educational institutes for high rates of bear attacks, and dispatch MTF Delta 10 answer key to the sites of incidents as soon as possible. Amnestics are to be administered to any civilians with knowledge of the bear. I guess. Maybe 1313 is not even the bear. While copies of 1313 are available from the Foundation archives, under no circumstances are any Foundation personnel to have complete knowledge of the problem. Any staff found solving 1313 are to be reprimanded, and if the situation warrants, killed. Terminated. This isn't TikTok. I can just say what happens. They get killed. Immediately following the bear's capture, excess bears are to be either released into the wild or used as food/test subjects for suitable anomalies. Description: SCP-1313 is an anomalous series of logical processes capable of being defined as a mathematical equation to which the answer is a single female specimen of Ursus arctos. The equation itself does not appear to be inherently anomalous, but rather a quirk of mathematics. Rather than producing any number in R/A, whatever that means, the set of all real numbers that are not animals, 1313 resolves to produce a tangible, adult, and frequently enraged grizzly bear. The resolution does not have to be physically represented, and simply considering the problem long enough to arrive at the solution has resulted in a bear's manifestation in or around the subject solving it. 1313 does not require any particular mathematical ability to comprehend beyond a basic understanding of elementary algebra, but all steps of the sequence must be completed in order to reach the correct answer. Skipping parts of the process or attempting to start midway through will not result in any anomalous effects, and will likely produce a purely mundane result. Currently, examination of partial components of 1313 has revealed the following information about the anomaly. That SCP-1313 itself conforms to all axioms used in current number theory, although at times has proven to be remarkably stubborn. That bears cannot be returned to numerical form simply by solving the equation inverse, pending the invention of a method of applying mathematical operations to physical objects. Is there a story to that? SCP-001-EX. Excuse me? What do you mean SCP-1313 leads back to SCP-001? Which I still have to go back to because they've written new ones since the last time I've gone in there. But one of them took so long that I just kind of lost track of trying to read it. Sorry about that. I'll go back for that someday. Maybe. Probably not. I'll try. I don't know. The invention of that SCP-1313 can be used as an element of other equations to produce semi-anomalous results. For example, I think that square root of SCP-1313 resolves to the square root of a live grizzly bear. Likewise, 1313 squared is a product of two live grizzly bears multiplied together. It is not recommended that such derivative equations be solved, as the creatures produced are usually poorly integrated into our reality and invariably extremely hostile during their brief periods of existence. Let's see. Research into the possible military applications of irrational, exponential, and imaginary grizzly bears is currently being undertaken by a joint team from the Foundation's mathematical and zoological departments. That grizzly bears exist within the set of all real numbers and are not prime. The square root of a grizzly bear is prime, however, and is the only prime number that A is not a cardinal number, B is neither even nor odd, and C contains an animal component. The implications that the root of a bear is an integer and therefore that bears themselves exist on an ordinary number line are currently being investigated by Professor Hutchinson. Who is SCP-33? Why? What? It's been a long time since I read SCP-33. Last I checked, I'm pretty sure I'm coming up on having been doing this for 7 years. So it's been 7 years since I've been in SCP-33. Let's open that in a new window. Let's see, what is it? A field of complex mathematical symbols ranging from simple layman identifiable representations. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like Professor Hutchinson is a math equation that is a dude. SCP-1313 first came to the Foundation's attention in 1967, when a bear attack was reported at Whitecross High School, Hereford, England. 1,724 separate instances of bear attacks in educational institutes have been observed since, with an estimated 1,600 fatalities and 900 further non-fatal injuries. Of the 1,724 bears and mathematical bear composites generated, at least 20% are still at large. If during the reading of this document you have pondered the nature of 1313 to such a degree that you feel you have independently formulated a portion of its structure, you're advised to make your way to your site's nearest amnestic distribution station, and then, following administration, to animal control. Failure to do so may result in disciplinary action and/or bear-related injury. Who wrote this? This is another one of those ones that feels like it should have been a joke SCP, but they took it seriously for, like, no reason. Okay, and now, the memetic universe. It's more math equations. Is this where the bears come from? Okay, safe. Special containment procedures. The original copy of SCP-1314-B is to be stored in a clearly marked A4 manila envelope kept in Dr. Somebody's office. Digital copies of A and B are to be stored on the standard isolated electronics repositories at Site 15, Site Somewhere Else, and Site 33, and Research Sector 15. What site is this that it's just blanked out and the rest of them are fine? Digital copies of B are not to be stored on Foundation intranet. Every 6 months, the original B is to be digitally scanned at the highest resolution available and returned to storage. Any physical copies of B are to be incinerated after testing. Any personnel testing 1314 should carry 1 dose of Class A amnestic for emergency use. Okay. Description. SCP-1314-A is a set of blanks 100 mathematical equations describing physical behaviors in a simulated universe, the initial conditions of which are stored in 1314-B. When read by a sapient organism, A causes a memetic effect dependent on the logical and spatial temporal reasoning skills of the exposed subject. If the subject has a spatial temporal reasoning index SRI of above 82 and a logical reasoning index LRI of above 93, they are implanted with a desire to search for a copy of B, similar to the effect of standard memetic obsession agents. This effect is reduced after separation from A and decays entirely after approximately 8 hours without exposure. If the subject does not meet these conditions, they will repeatedly review A with the effect of raising their SRI by 0.3 and LRI by 0.1 for each minute of exposure until reaching 82 and 93 respectively. This effect has not been observed to decay and is considered permanent. SCP-1314-B is a string of something hexadecimal digits interspersed with something memetic triggers. I guess it's something tens of thousands of digits interspersed with hundreds of memetic triggers. On exposure, B causes a memetic effect dependent on the last point in time that the subject was exposed to A. If the time since exposure is over 8 hours, the subject is implanted with the desire to locate a copy of A, which again decays over the course of 8 hours. If they have been exposed to A more recently than this, then the subject enters a state of deep concentration for blank minutes, during which they decrypt the information stored in B. The instructions for decryption of B are stored in the embedded memetic triggers. Exposure to A after exposure to B has no additional effect. The documents must be viewed in the correct order to result in the anomalous phenomenon. After sequential exposure to A and B, subjects report obsession with mentally simulating the universe described by 1314. This obsession does not render them incapable of performing normal tasks if necessary, but has been reported as extremely distracting, and they will favor sitting and thinking over all other tasks. The simulated universe is three-dimensional and operates under discrete time and spatial dimensions. Light and air do not exist in this universe. Heat transfer is simulated via a modified version of caloric theory, while gravity and collisions are simulated according to Newtonian physics. Objects within this universe are either spheres or polyhedrons, where spheres are approximately 3 orders of magnitude larger than polyhedrons. Whenever a polyhedron is heated above 316 temperature units, it splits into 2 smaller polyhedrons with temperature 158 temperature units. Spheres do not possess upper temperature limits. This behavior results in the simulation drastically increasing in computational complexity after 29,000 time units, when a sphere with temperature in excess of 9,200,000 temperature units collides with an asteroid belt of polyhedron in orbit around another sphere. This causes an exponential duplication of polyhedrons. When the impact event occurs, the subject will show distress as they need to mentally keep track of hundreds of thousands of objects simultaneously. At this point, subjects will begin overwriting their previous memories to keep track of the objects. Once this space is expended, the effect spreads into more critical parts of the brain. No subject has remained capable of speech after 30,300 time units. Eventually, the subject will overwrite their involuntary muscle control, resulting in death by either asphyxiation or cardiac arrest. At any point in exposure, administering a Class A amnestic will wipe the simulation from the user's mind, usually facilitating a full recovery. However, memories that are overwritten by the effect of later stages of 1314 cannot be recovered. The original copy of 1314 was sent via mail to Agent Blank by data expunged. After she had missed work for 3 days, Agent Blank was sent to investigate her disappearance. Upon finding Agent Blank in the later stages of infection, performing crosswords and mental exercises with the intent of delaying her calculations, Agent Blank contained 1314 and administered both Class A and B amnestics to Agent Blank as a precautionary measure. Shortly after her recovery, Agent Blank accompanied Agent Blank and data expunged, preventing further distribution of hazardous memetic agents. After experimental analysis of the containment of a physical copy of A was deemed unnecessary, and the original was destroyed after being digitally scanned. Addendum. Request to use A to increase logical and spatial temporal reasoning skills of D-class personnel for use in unrelated experiments. Granted. Yeah, that sounds safe. Why not make the D-class want to create universes that erase parts of their brain? That's not going to backfire at all. So that's going to do it for this episode. However, I'm going back into Solve for Bear so that it can bring me back over to SCP-001 so that I can see just how bad that's gotten. Okay. The Great Hippo's Proposal, featuring Pepper's Ghost. Okay, let me get into actual SCP-1, top secret, warning, blah, 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 memetic thingy, wee. Okay, so, newly declassified. Codename Rounderhouse Gold's Proposal, codename Ralliston, and codename King Pogan the... Okay, so the Insurgency, the Queen's Gambit, and Amoni Ram have been declassified. I've read The Gate Guardian, When Day Breaks, Dead Men, the prototype. I think I was working on Past and Future. I'm pretty sure I have saved how many I was up to. I know I've read The Factory. So it looks like they're not even in the same order. So it's not going to help me any trying to go from the top to the bottom because it's... Okay, chronologically. Thank you. So I've read the sheaf of papers. I know that I've read... I was on Ouroboros. Okay. I was in the middle of Ouroboros. or Ouroboros, depending on how you want to say it. Yeah, the reason I had not made it through Ouroboros is because they used it to restructure some of the things I've already read, and I wasn't really sure how to handle it. Either I've already read Ouroboros, or I read 36 and then hit Ouroboros and was like, what the fuck is this? So, let me check 36. I'm not sure. It's saying they're in chronological order, but I feel like Ouroboros used to be before 36, because I know that I've read these. But I have no memory of 36. I remember starting Ouroboros, but I also remember Daybreaks, because I'm pretty sure that's the one where the sun was melting people. So I don't think this is chronological either. I think they redid this, and I don't even know which ones I have to read. So in addition to there being like 4 times as many 001s as there used to be, they are not actually in order anymore. So, what is that called? Mimetic kill agent, continued life signs confirmed. Okay, yeah, whatever. But if I ever actually want to get through SCP-001, I'm probably going to have to, like, just start at 36 and keep going until I hit something I recognize, because I know I did Sheaf of Papers, I know I've done the Factory, I know I've done the Foundation, and I know I've done When Day Breaks, which is, like, down here somewhere. I also believe I already read The Scarlet King. So I'm honestly not sure what the hell's happening here. I know I read The Broken God, but they put that into Ouroboros, which is here now. So, I don't know. I do want to get back around to SCP-001 now that there's more of them, but they've lost their freaking minds about how it's put together, so I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, like I said, that's going to do it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well, so that you're notified of future uploads, which will hopefully be on the better microphone. And I will see y'all in the next one. Later.